Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football, welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well today as we get into a news video, a news update, what's going on. Well, we've got a few things to discuss, and for all the AFCON lovers, make sure you stay till the end as I will talk about AFCON and what we saw yesterday. Actually, no, I might mention it halfway through the video. Keep your eyes peeled because we've got to talk about a certain player. There's one certain player, you know who. Anyway, we'll get to that in a bit. Before we get cracking, don't forget to check out all the content as it drops on here, and to make sure that you guys are hitting the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified once I have uploaded, and make sure that you guys are tuned for this coming week where we look forward to Liverpool versus Chelsea at Anfield, just as Jurgen Klopp has decided to announce that he wants to leave and he's leaving Liverpool at the end of the season. So it's going to be a very interesting preview the day before that. So make sure you guys are there for that, as I've got a different approach. With the big games, I've got a different approach. So make sure you're there for the preview. Let's get cracking. Starting off with what is going on with Conor Gallagher. And this one's interesting. Ben Jacobs has given us some info, and we've got to dissect things a little bit here because I don't like where this is going. Let's check this out. Conor Gallagher is no closer to a new deal at Chelsea. He would also expect around 150k, but it's complicated as he currently earns 50k per week. Sources say he would ideally like to stay this window, especially with a League Cup final on the horizon. This doesn't sound like a new situation, does it? No, and it doesn't, because we've been here before. And you know what they say? It's always good to learn from the past and learn from lessons in the past and things that have happened in history, so then it doesn't repeat itself, right? Well, we've got history repeating itself because we've been in this situation with Mason Mount. If you remember, before he went to United, there was the whole debacle about the contract situation, and that saga revealed to us later, after even he had gone to Man United. To be honest, the info was actually there before he went to Man United, but myself included, I remember being on here and thinking, and not to my defense, but I would say the one thing that you can look to Mason Mount and think that whole situation could have been averted is when he could have signed a new deal before the ownership came in. And then when this new ownership came in, that's when it all got really complicated. And then the contract that was actually on the table, which for whatever reason, and to be honest, I include Mason in this, as to why it never got agreed, was then taken off, and then he was offered a 1-year extension. Just a 1-year extension. I remember hearing about that, and I was thinking, it can't be. How can you have a contract on the table and then take it off, right, and then give 1-year contract extension just to get more along the line? With time, we've seen how the club have conducted themselves. We've seen the sort of business we've tried to do. We've understood more about the model financially and what the club's trying to do. Now it all begins to make sense. It all begins to piece itself together. So I am looking at that situation, and albeit at the time I was definitely of the ones to say, yeah, Mason Mount, if he goes, brilliant, 60 million, yes please, right? Fantastic. One, I genuinely thought that Mason had the opportunity to sign, he didn't. Buy. You want to go, see you later. And secondly, I was genuinely under the impression that we would get an upgrade with that money. We'd generate a lot of money, we'd use that money, get someone in proper to replace him. I would argue the Kai Havertz deal I'm actually at peace with. Why? Because we've brought in Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer, for me, has replaced Kai Havertz in a very nice way. So far, I can say for Cole Palmer, I'm happy. Albeit he missed what he missed, but he's not a striker, and I don't want him playing as a 9 ever again. I think that's a commonality, right? Okay. But with Mason, it's actually funny. Have we replaced Mason? No. We still got an attacking mid problem. Some would argue Nkunku. Well, he's out. Always. So we've actually still got an issue there. So there's that. Albeit the Nkunku deal was agreed long ago. However, with Gallagher, we've got that situation now popping up again. Mason Mount was sold simply because of pure profit. And that's something that I wasn't talking about back then. I genuinely thought, Mason, look, we've got a big opportunity to get money for him, simple, see you later, bye. And then I was like, we can use that money and get an upgrade. I really wasn't thinking about this whole pure profit thing, which now it's undeniable. The club want pure profit. They're selling every single flipping person that has pure profit at the club, albeit except Reece James and Levi Colwill. And chances are their time will probably come as well. Now Conor Gallagher's time is up and is on the table. The situation is repeating itself. We are hearing now that he wants 150k, and I genuinely don't believe that. I don't think he's holding the club ransom to say, give me 150k. I think he'll have his demand. I think you can negotiate with that. I think if there's anyone that can come to an understanding easy because of who he is and the fact that he loves to play for Chelsea, it's Conor Gallagher. He's the easiest person you can deal with at this football club in terms of a salary. 100%, right? But I genuinely believe that he doesn't want to sign an 8-year death row contract, right? And he'd much rather have just a normal 3 or 4 year like anyone else should. And to be honest, I agree with that. With the way that we've gone about our business and we've handed out all these long contracts and all that, look where it's gotten us and how we're performing right now. And the players are all so tied down, and you don't give yourself any leg room to even think about replacing or changing or tweaking. You've signed them to 8 years. You know what I mean? So I can understand if that would be his doubt. But you get news starting to tell you he wants too much money. It's easier. It's an easy way to get the fan base to just go, all right, yeah, stuff him. Bye, go. We want you to go. And then the club will go, fantastic. We've got the fans on board. Brilliant. In normal circumstances, let's be honest, because Conor Gallagher's not Iniesta, right? We can live without Conor Gallagher. But that's if we use the money correctly. That's what I'm scared of. I'm scared we would actually get rid of Conor Gallagher and actually get worse. That's my concern with the way that Chelsea have been moving in terms of their business. That's my problem. I'm fearful of what the club will do afterwards, instead of actually using those funds in order to go and get I'm not even going to use talent anymore. Top players, yeah? I'm not looking for potential. We've got tons of potential. I'm looking for players that can do it now, because that's what we need. We need a good balance. We need a balance between the players that can do it now and the players with potential. We ain't got any. We've got tons of players with potential and no one that can do it now, right? If I had a certainty that we would sell Conor Gallagher, generate pure profit, because it is pure profit, financially, it's fantastic money, and we'd use that for the benefit of upgrading the team, 100% I'm on board. I'm scared we won't do that. The track record states we won't. The track record states that we'll use how much? 45, 50 million that we could get for Conor Gallagher? At the minimum, right? Some people are going to say it could be more. Let's call it 50 million. We'll take 50 million. Do you know what we're going to do with 50 million? We'll buy some 18-year-old for about 19 million, right? We would probably look at some other 16-year-old and pay 5 million. And we'd probably try and get some sort of 23, 24-year-old that doesn't play at a very high level, but it's going to cost a little bit of money because he's not exactly too young. And then we'd offer him peanut wages, and then we'd spread his contract over 8 years. Well, that's what I'm scared of. That's what I'm scared of. And if we're going to do that, keep Conor Gallagher, because at least I know he cares. At least. Do you get this? This is my position. I'm not saying he's invincible. He's not. And in a top squad, he's a squad player. But we're not a top squad. And we have the resources to be, but we're not using it. And my fear is that we're going to continue down this path, even if we do get rid of a Conor Gallagher. So this is why I'm stressing. It's up to the flipping club, the directors, like the strategy. But can you please get things in order? Do what the club needs now on a footballing level. The money will come. The money will come. But sort this mess out on a footballing level, for the love of God. So I'm not buying that he's holding the club down. I want 150k, because we heard that before. And albeit, like I said, I am more with Gallagher than Mason, because Mason did have opportunity to sign. you could argue, yeah, he had a 1-year contract extension that was put on the table that he was never going to accept, and therefore he ended up leaving the club. Fair enough. The whole way he decided to go as well didn't sit right with me, and I criticised him for that. You could have done more, at least just for the fan base. For the club is the club, okay, fair, the people in charge, I get you. But for the fans, come on. So there's that. But Gallagher, I don't get any of that sentiment whatsoever. With Gallagher, I only get positive sentiment. His ability is his ability, and I have been critical of that, absolutely. But I sit more with Gallagher in this regard than I have previous with Mason, without question. So I am honestly going to wait and see what's going to transpire in the situation. And the one thing about Conor Gallagher is that he holds the keys. He's playing. He's one of the captains. Poch likes him. He doesn't need to talk or do anything. He'll be like, I'll stay until the end of my contract. No problem. And then you won't get a penny. How's that sound? So it's either they fall in line and actually give him something that he would definitely accept, or they come to some sort of a compromise and just, allow him to leave. But the only way I can see that is if we sack Pochettino. And then Gallagher will be like, okay, well, now I'm not sure if I'm going to play. So anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts in regards to that. Let's move to other stories before we wrap up. Benzema. This is from Ben Jacobs, and he was saying, Benzema's wages are off-putting to Chelsea, and there is no green light from Saudi deal makers, both within Al Ittihad or the Ministry of Sport, to allow him to leave for Europe just yet. This is the one thing. The wages are the wages, and I've spoken about this. I genuinely believe that with the wages, there's going to be a situation where he knows no matter where he goes, if he's leaving Saudi, he's got to take a massive hit. No one can afford, even close. Like I said, not even 10% of what he's getting in Saudi. What is common knowledge is that the Saudis are looking to try and just move him from one club to another. That way he doesn't leave the country, he changes environment, changes personnel, new manager and all of that. Cool, but you stay within the project. Because the project isn't about Al Ittihad, the project is Saudi. So if they can just keep him within the bubble, then they're happy. So let's see what's going to happen. Chances are he might just leave to another Saudi club now and won't go altogether. So let me know your thoughts. Now, this. Chelsea are interested in Lille's Jonathan David. That's come from France, funnily enough. So that's an interesting one. And when you're looking at Jonathan David, 24 years old, Lille, right? French league. There has been good, I wouldn't say just good acquisitions in terms of the French league, but even Lille specifically. He's a versatile player. His goal ratio is somewhat, you could argue, it's somewhat decent. At centre forward, anyway. For Lille, he has 162 games, 69 goals. He'll cost a little bit of money though. This is the problem. I honestly believe that if you were to go and get Jonathan David, we ain't going to go and get Osimhen. I think this is a non-mover. I think this is one little rumour and that's all it is, and that's all it's going to be. I don't feel like there's going to be any momentum in this possibility of Jonathan David to Chelsea. Not at all. I'm looking at this whole Osimhen situation. I think when the summer comes, I think it's happening. I'll be honest. I think it's happening. I don't know if you guys saw at AFCON. I'm going to talk about Osimhen in a sec. But the way he's moving with Didier, his energy. He's announced that he's going to be leaving basically Napoli at the end of the season. He's not announced that. De Laurentiis has announced that. I think it's all pointing. It's all pointing to Chelsea. I genuinely believe Osimhen will be a blue in the summer. So we'll wait and see. So if that's going to be the case, then all we need for now is someone to come in now, and just for the short term. I need someone to come in for 4 months. Can we get that? If not, then we're just going to have to manage what we got. And if it means that we sell Broja, for example, which we're probably going to do anyway for pure profit, what are we going to do to get us over the line until the end of the season? We're going to wait for Nicholas Jackson to come back because we've got games. If you've seen the schedule, Liverpool, Anfield starting, and Senegal will start AFCON. So there's that. But that's in relation to Osimhen and Jonathan David. Now, talking about Osimhen, I want to show you something. Frank Lampard, he was onto something. I'm going to talk about Frank in a bit. This is Lampard in 2019. The Lille account when Osimhen was playing, saying Osimhen was very impressive It was a match that was very difficult for our defenders. He is very fast, very rapid and solid. I wish him a huge career, is basically what Lampard said in 2019. Lampard should really, I'm going to say this for the benefit of Frank Lampard, you should consider to be a sporting director, mate. Management is, I don't believe, for Frank Lampard, but he has an eye for talent. When you're looking at some of the names that he was mentioning, you know, I genuinely think that, not mentioning, but you heard that he wanted, or he was linked with, or he wanted Declan Rice, right? He wanted Bellingham early, so he wanted Rice early. He wanted Bellingham early. He liked Haaland early, although Haaland was starting to pick up form. I think he was starting to gain attention. He spotted Guirassy in 2022. He wanted Kudus. He liked Gordon of Newcastle, who's been decent. He was fairly a bit on and off, and then he's come into good shape. About Mudryk, he said that he liked Mudryk physically, but he can't read the game. What is it we're seeing now? We're actually seeing that in living colour. Lampard's got an eye, but that's all he's got. He's not got the tools to manage. I think he's got a good way to analyse what a club needs. And that's the great role of a sporting director. You can either become a scout, a top scout. If Lampard was a scout, I think he'd be amazing. But he also has the attributes and the expertise, I think, to be a sporting director. So he should consider. He really should consider. Lampard should consider. But Osimhen, at AFCON, what did we see yesterday? Nigeria knocking Cameroon out of AFCON, heading to the quarterfinals, 2-0 win, and Osimhen looked like an absolute monster. I mean, the energy, the assist, but the way that he was just in everyone's faces, making things happen on and off the ball, madness. And then you look at after the game and you look at the interview that he conducted with, I'm not sure, it was some African television channel, I think, but he was alongside Didier Drogba. And you could just see his energy, the way he talks, his mannerisms, his enthusiasm. After the game, he should be shattered. He's buzzing. He's like, I can go again. We need that in the dressing room. We know he has the ability. Clearly, he has the hunger as well. And we need a striker with that. You know, he's got it. He's got it as far as I'm concerned. So I want Osimhen. And as I've said, I think it's happening. So let's wait and see how the summer's going to go. But that's the latest on Osimhen. AFCON, like I've mentioned, we saw Angola beat Namibia very convincingly. And the third goal was, oh my God. Intelligence, IQ, technique. This is what I'm talking about. There's a difference when players play with their legs and when they play with their heads. When they play with their feet, when they play with their brains. There's players that play with their feet. I'll be honest, right now, Mudryk plays with his feet, not with his brain. There's players that play with their brain. And that third goal for Angola, right, that finish was just... how did you think of that? How did you think and then execute that finish? It's like it was some mad Thierry Henry-esque finish on steroids. It was mad. Go and watch it if you haven't seen it already. But Angola are through to the quarterfinal. Congrats to them. Nigeria are through to the quarterfinals. Congrats to Nigeria. Nigeria, I feel like, are starting to get into their stride, and I feel like now they're going to get to the semi-final minimum. And then they'll see, because the chances are they'll be playing Morocco in the semi-final if Morocco do advance. So that's going to be a tough one. So Nigeria, semi-final, they should get there. Let's wait and see how it's all going to go down. And we've still got to watch Senegal, and we've got to watch Egypt. We've got to watch all the other teams that are there at the moment playing the last 16 games. We will see what goes down. Now, to wrap up Chelsea, there's this. Should we progress to the FA Cup fifth round, we will face Leeds United or Plymouth Argyle at Stamford Bridge. That's a great tie. By the way, Leeds, oh my God. Chelsea versus Leeds at the Bridge. That would be an interesting one. In a cup game, that would be interesting. It's a hostile environment. No scenes like we saw today between West Brom and Wolves, though. That was absolutely ridiculous. For those that haven't seen, you can go and watch what happened, mate. But the game got suspended. The fans were kicking off in the stands between themselves. But it all started because there was a couple of away fans that ended up in the home section. What? How? I've got to be honest, yeah? Because the scenes that transpired afterwards were horrible. people getting blooded, blood all over. There were fans singing, let him die, let him die. I mean, we've not seen that since the peak hooliganism of the mid-90s, right? That we've probably not seen that sort of thing in English football for quite some time. And today was crazy with the police involved and all that. But when you're looking at what initiated it, come on, it's Rule 101. If you're going to a game and you've got a ticket and you're in the home section and you're an away fan, there's 2 rules. Rule number 1, zip up your coat and don't show your top. Rule number 2, don't react if your team scores. Just sit there. You're going to have to celebrate inside. That's the cost you pay for getting a home ticket, just so you can attend the game. That's a common rule. Everyone knows that. There was some idiot who celebrated, went crazy, whilst the home crowd are losing. They get aggro. All of a sudden, it kicks off, and then boom, we've got flipping riot in the stands. And then people getting their heads split open and all sorts. It's idiotic. It's an absolute idiot move. So anyway, that was West Brom and Wolves. Wolves beating West Brom 2-0. West Midlands derby. It's a derby. This is what I'm saying. It's a derby. In the cup, tempers will flare. It gets emotional. You got to think, man. Absolute clowns. Anyway, but if we beat Aston Villa, we get to play Leeds or Plymouth. So if you don't have more motivation than this to get to the next round, then I don't know what will. So we got to go to Aston Villa. We got to go to Villa Park. Like I said, I'm not a fan of it. But we'll see what happens. Now, as we move away from Chelsea before we wrap up, check this out. Breaking, Brentford have just reached an agreement with Club Brugge to sign Antonio Nusa. Deal in place for fee in excess of 30 million euros. Green light ready, also on player side. He's staying at Bruges until June, then joining Brentford in June. Time for formal steps now. Mad. Absolutely mad. What's crazy is he was meant to join Tottenham. I can't even laugh. But you know what I mean? He was meant to join Tottenham. They've bottled it. He's going to Brentford. How have Brentford beaten Spurs to a signing? Go on to Brentford. Well done, Brentford. Credit to Brentford. That's a great acquisition for Brentford. As far as I'm concerned, the levels, Nusa will be a top player for Brentford. Fantastic. So great acquisition for them. Congratulations. And Tottenham, I'm sorry, in the mud. Let's move to second to last story. Thomas Tuchel a few minutes ago today saying, moving abroad would appeal to me again. Spain has an extraordinary league. From my perspective and based on my experience working with Spaniards, they are characterized by a tremendous amount of self-confidence. When you speak with Spanish players, I quickly get the sense that you are engaging with the person. It's funny because yesterday, this happened. Xavi, on the challenges of being Barcelona coach, having confirmed he will leave at the end of the season, he said, in Barcelona, you always feel like you're not valued. You're mistreated. That's how the club works. From a mental health perspective, it's tough. I'm a positive guy, but my battery levels keep running out, and that's why I realize there's no point in staying. It has happened to all the previous coaches. It's impossible for there to be a Barca equivalent of Sir Alex Ferguson unless we change the dynamic. That's a very interesting analysis from him there. I'm not sure if he's talking about the club or the fan base. Because if he's talking about the club, fair enough. If there's things that you can't work with within the club, fair enough. And you feel like you're being mistreated within the club, fair enough. But if you're talking about the fan base and you're simply talking about the criticism that comes or, anger or emotion, well, I'm sorry, that's part of the job. You're going to have to develop thick skin. And if that's the case and he's stepping away because he can't deal with it, then fair play to him. He's realised he can't deal with it and he's not got it up here. Which doesn't compute with me because he's Xavi. Xavi's competed at the highest possible level for years. So he should have mental fortitude. I'm more inclined to think that this is a situation within the football club that is deteriorating, not the fan base. So let's see what happens. But he's leaving at the end of the season. He's leaving Barcelona. Not quite the same impact as Klopp announcing he's leaving Liverpool at the end of the season, but you get the gist. Now all of a sudden, Tuchel's talking about Spain. Whoa, what a surprise. Well, I think it's pretty obvious. I think he's twerking for Barcelona. Simple as that. He's twerking for Barca. He wants Barca or maybe Real Madrid as well. Who knows? If they were to get rid of Carlo, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. He did sign a new deal, so anyway. Barcelona, though. Thomas Tuchel to Barca. He's got options. I'll give him that. If he leaves Bayern Munich, he's definitely got options on the table. So we'll see what happens. But Yeah, Xavi leaving Barca. Tuchel, where will he go? He's talking about the Spanish players. He's talking about Spain. He's talking about. I think he's talking about Barcelona. So let me know your thoughts, and if you agree or disagree, much appreciated. Where you think he will end up, let me know, and I will see all of you tomorrow for a brand new one or brand new couple of ones. So I will see you then. If it's going to be one upload or two, make sure you're here. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified once I've uploaded. Thank you all so much for watching. Hit the socials on the screen and in the description. Much appreciated. And I will see all of you tomorrow for another one. Have a good one, people. See you lot then. Take care and peace.